What's up, everyone? Yeah, I know everyone's probably wondering where's the new episode. Well, I was putting it off. There was a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, and stuff kept happening, and I wanted to wait until we found out more information about everything before I spilled my guts. And I just figured, fuck it, we'll just move next week's until now, and we'll go into the holiday break, and the end of the season a little early. It's because if we're being honest, I mean, this one's for a mental health check, and just to get humanity back. Probably going to be a few minutes longer than everyone wants, but fuck it, I don't care. This one's about, again, humanity and getting everything back. And, it's been a rough one, for everybody. Not everyone, had the same things I did, whether the Achilles getting ripped through by a dog, traumatic brain injury from, getting rear-ended. There's all kinds of things that, happened to me, but I know all kinds of things happen to other people. And I know it's been a rough, go. I know everyone deals with stuff, and especially during the holidays. It's, a very joyous time of the year for a lot of people. But, it's also a very miserable time of the year for just as many people, if not, more. Just feeling things because of loss and all kinds of other things, that happen. This is the time, I do a lot of episodes about mental health. Haven't done one in a while. This is the time to, if you feel like you need to pump the brakes and just, that's an exhale in case it didn't come through the microphone well. The level didn't look like it picked it up, but, this is time to exhale, from everything going on in the world, everything going on in the country, because it's a crazy world, and just, exhale, if you have to. Collect your thoughts. Collect a lot of things. I'm not going to lie if I say I'm in the best spot. I'm better than I was, last time I took that 9 million year break. At least it felt like it. But, doesn't mean I'm good. It's just been one thing after another. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for a lot of people, but, thankfully, the VA and me are finally on the same page and getting along because we didn't really do anything for the last 4 years before this. And this hurts. And they're like, that's great. Your x-rays were clear. So we're not doing anything else, even though I'm pretty sure. Call me crazy here, people. Hear me out. I think I would know if the bones in my shoulder were broken. But the doctor literally told me, well, the imaging is clear. So hopefully one day there's a test to prove what level of pain you're in. But until then, you're screwed. No MRIs, no anything else to try to see anything else besides the bones. And, I was I damn near felt like giving up for a long time there, and I kept pushing through in between losing friends and, people I served with, people that were under me in the Marine Corps. Justin, all that still screws with my head. Every day. Still think about, what could have been. Did we do enough? And, once they make the decision, there's nothing you could do. Which is sad, but, there's been a lot of things weighing on me. I know a lot of people have had a lot of things weighing on them, Financial troubles from the last couple of years, all kinds of crazy debt building up, still to this point. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I just want everyone to know they aren't alone. And, if they're in this, time of the year, and I know it's a struggle for a lot of people, trying to get, gifts and everything else they feel they have to do. But, just get one from the heart. Paint someone something, make someone something, just do something, what you can, and show that you care and don't stress about it because, the bills are piling up or anything. Again, from around Thanksgiving up until after the New Year, it's not a very fun time for a lot of people. It's not a fun time for me just because so many anniversaries of bad things. And, this is my, excuse my, throat clearing, but this is the time where I want to tell everyone, and I know I told people, wasn't going to be political. The one thing I will say, one side has been pushing other people to cut off Trump supporters, and everyone more than Trump supporters has been told, or voters even, to cut off the other side. And I think that's all horseshit. There you go. There's the one thing. I think it's horseshit. I think people need to, get over that. I think, because I said hopefully, I said it last year around this time. Hopefully, we get the great reset. Everyone exhales and Trump gets a chance to do anything without getting his head ripped off. He didn't. Whatever. It's the way it is. Sorry, that's it. But this, we need to do it this year for just everybody. Never mind Orange Man. However you fucking feel about him, you feel about him. However you feel about his policies, you feel about him. I'm not going after people for that. You do you. We're not all the same. Everyone has different feelings, different beliefs. Now, if you hate policies because of the man, because you hate the man, that's a different thing. But I don't give a fuck. If you want to support this, support it. You want to support that, support it. If you know people that support things on the other side, support the person. Be kind to one another. I made a TikTok video, because I literally see people freaking out. Literally losing their mind because people wish them a Merry Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, honestly, who gives a fuck? Like, just look in your heart, get rid of all the misery inside of you, and just say thank you. Merry Christmas back to them. Because it's just someone reaching out trying to have a nice gesture to make you fucking feel better, and it makes them feel better. You respond and they feel better because they were kind to a random fucking human being. Like, just accept it. Be happy. It's just small little things like that that get everything going in the proper fucking direction. We don't need people going off over stupid. There's a lot of shit to go off about. Across the aisles, across the world, there's a lot of shit to fucking go off about. Like that. Like, just let them be nice. Like, Jesus Christ, there was times I was in full uniform in the Marine Corps doing, recruiting stuff for this stuff or that stuff. And little kids and people were like, thank you for your service, soldier. Guess what? I was a fucking Marine. We all know how Marines are. I know fucking soldier. But guess what? They were smiling. I said, thank you, or whatever the hell else we said, because it made them feel better. And it makes you feel better. Because, they'd meant it out of the kindness of their fucking heart to make you feel better as a sign of gratitude or just something. And I responded, appropriately. And I know a fucking soldier and freak out because that's pretty much the equivalent of what happens when people say Merry Christmas. Just accept it. Like, how hard is it? Like, I'm fucking, I don't know what it is, but I'm like fatigued. I think we all have been, which is why I said hopefully everyone just exhales and, takes it for what it is and doesn't just freak out no matter what he does. Because it's going to happen no matter what, really. But, it would be nice just everyone just take that exhale because I think we desperately need it. And I brought up, people not talking to people on the other side of the aisle. Why? Like, why fucking do it? Like, they're still human beings. You could still get along with something. Christmas movies, hating the Dallas Cowboys. How the Dallas Cowboys are fucking not America's team. They're just the miserable fucks that they keep throwing on my TV screen and I can't get rid of every week because no matter what, they fucking are. Very few people can disagree on that. It's true, about wrestling or books or movies or just fucking, concerts, trips you've taken, just anything. We can start getting along and talking about things with people on the other side of that and have normal relationships because we're just going to keep getting more fucked up. If we don't, nothing's going to get any better. I know I've been saying it, for a while. I've been saying it for years. How long does this have to keep fucking, going? Like, and I argue with people. And I don't want to argue with people. I really don't, especially people that I actually like or appreciate or respect what they do as an artist or whatever they do. Because they're just so fucking deranged on one side. Like, pushed to one side. And guess what? There's batshit crazy people on both sides. I argue with both. Just easier to argue with people on my side. But they're like, just attack everything. What's the fucking point? Because all you're doing is turning off everyone, that follows you. That isn't that way. Like, you're just completely just insulting a whole entire side. It gets fucking nowhere but more division. And then you attack them when they say, like, good job. Well, like, what the fuck's the good of that? Like, it does nothing. Like, there's a while I was posting stuff recently, but that's just because I couldn't post on the show's page. I wasn't trying to get the whole world to see it, but I know if I didn't share it, I'd never see it again. But I'm not like saying, like, I always say, if you believe in this shit, not just all these supporters are this, that, or the other, like, everyone on both sides needs to do that, because there's non-crazy people on both sides. Yes, we're all fucking crazy. Granted. But it depends on what level of crazy. And I don't think there's that many fucking batshit insane people. That we need to keep just bashing our fucking heads, against the wall. And like I said, like I noticed the amount of liberal friends on my Facebook page and other social medias and my personal one that just vanished throughout the years. That's okay. They don't like seeing it, whatever, but it's not the only stuff that I'd share. It's not the only stuff that anyone would share, just like liberals. It's not the only stuff that they share. Occasionally there's some funny stuff in there, and you just have to find that and just scroll through, because once we learn to scroll through the stuff that we don't agree with and commenting on the stuff we like, that starts a relationship. That starts getting people back together. And honestly, I think all of our brains fucking need it. And, I did say, I didn't cut off, any of them. One of them cut me off. One of them did. And, hopefully he's listening. I don't know. He's a brother before we were legally, technically brothers for, in law, for a little bit there. But, we talked through everything. Like, through my shitty life growing up, things he went through. Him losing, Prada, who was a beautiful girl. He lost her. I was there. His breakup with Joe. And all the crazy, Josue, like all the stuff that happened, him getting his trucking job, is, not doing that job and going back to that job. And me, like the divorce, the Marine Corps, like there's a lot of times where, we didn't talk during the Marine Corps, and I apologize for that to both Drew, Sean, Ryan. Like there's an unrelenting list of people that I feel bad. Because when I went to the Marine Corps, like I just shut down from the whole entire fucking world, which is probably easier, especially with the schedule I was running. But, it's not right. But, there's a lot of us that, me and Drew, we didn't talk for the longest time. And to break it down in layman's terms, hopefully, if he hears this, he'll comment and agree wherever he is. But, it's on Spotify for podcasters, by the way. You can fucking comment right in the app or on Facebook or wherever, but I said shit, and let's be honest, I paid attention to politics for forever. He didn't. You had different interests at the time, buddy. What you did, I'm going to go and throw them out there. You were doing other things, and damn it, you were living the life that all of us on active duty wish we could. Kudos to you. But, then he got into it, and, he would say something. Say something worse, then he'd say something worse, and then I'd say something worse, and then we wouldn't talk for weeks, and then we'd try again. It would be a never-ending loop of just fucking one-upsmanship of go fuck yourself, which isn't healthy. No, I don't have the Drew post-it note. Like, it's behind me right there, actually. But now here's, like, when we talked, like, there were times, hours and hours and hours a day we would talk about just life. And then, again, he was working. He got Jill, I got Hannah, there was less time to just bullshit all day. While he was driving. He was still working. Headset on, he was doing his thing. But, we just talked about everything, and it just got so stupid. And I know we kept going back and forth, and then he said just one thing. And if you want to know what it is, buddy, text me. Call me. I'm not going to say it here, but he said one thing that set me off the fucking thermonuclear end. And again, we were just one-upping each other, just giving each other the fucking finger via text message whenever we could. So, but it just, the gloves just completely came off in my brain until he blocked me. And then there was years where there's just, life things happening or, near-death experiences, because I keep having them, stuff like that he wasn't, there for. And then I missed, I missed him and Jill growing into what, they were and building their relationship. And I remember after the first date, our conversation, I remember it still. It's in my head. I don't remember why the fuck I stood up 20 minutes ago, but I remember it. Because he meant that much. It was just a normal thing. They had their date. They felt good. Sorry if I'm gushing on you guys. You tell me to fuck off somewhere. And then there was, quietness in between. It's because she wasn't used to someone treating her that way, if memory serves me right. Because he's a gentleman. He's an Eagles fan, so he's always going to be an asshole, but he's a gentleman. He treats women, Right, and he's grown a lot. In his adult ages, when he stopped, worrying about stupid shit. You did. We all did. Mine was other stupid shit. You were surface shit. But, and then, they grew into, getting married. And, I didn't even know it was happening until, his sister, my ex-wife, posted something on social media. And, as gutted as I felt for years, because I just didn't want to reach out. I didn't know what the response was going to be. I figured I'd just get my fucking head taken off, honestly. There they were at the wedding, and this is the wedding that he deserved. It's the wedding that Jill deserved. I'm still going to call her Jan Candy because I'm a John Candy fan over the last name Love. Sorry. And that sounds cooler than, it's just me. But, I missed all that. And that was just because over just stupid, political shit and just one-upsmanship. That's what we've been in for so many years. And I know I'm rambling about it, but, I don't want people to, I want people, because no matter what, since we started talking again, we talked about NASCAR, we talk about wrestling, we talk about how much the Raiders unequivocally suck, and they always will. You used to tell me I need to be a better fan, have faith. No, 21 losing seasons in 23 years. But I'm just realistic at this point. We're not going to do anything to make me feel good about myself or my choices with them. But there's stuff, movies, TV shit, like all kinds of stuff, honeymoons, like trips. There's all kinds of stuff that everyone can talk to and start finding, ground. And it's out there everywhere. And, I'm going away for a couple weeks. Doing some mental R&R because I'm just, I don't know. I think I came back and I had great fervor. I feel like I've still been burnt out from, the years before that because it was just a never ending grind. And I just think that we can all do better. No matter what. Even just a little thing, like they said in Home Alone, how are you going to know if you don't call them? If you don't reach out, how are you going to know? And especially during the holidays, because, there could be people that you're best friends with that you don't talk to politically, because of politics and all that. And they could be just dying to have someone, reach out and talk to them, put a smile on their face to help them get through life that's just a pile of shit, or the holidays because they don't have their family, or just so many other things that I've seen take too many people that I know and love all these years since I've been out. And, I hope this gets out, more people here, because I think of all the things I've ever said, I think, the mental health ones are the ones that really need to reach out because people need that. And, if you believe you can't talk to someone just because they're on the other political side of the aisle, I don't know what to tell you. But there's common ground that we can all have that I've had with lots of people on the other side, whether it was their kid in Little League, the Cowboys, sucking, the Raiders being terrible, but we all know that. Wrestling, like painting, art, movies, like there's so much. And I hope that people, will hear this and reach out to those people. Because again, like Kevin McAllister and the old man down the road, how are you going to know if you don't pick up the phone? You won't. And, especially during this time, because you never know who's going to, need that little pick-me-up. How about that? Well, I haven't heard from them in forever. And they could put a smile on their face. It could change, everything. Me and Drew talking. Changed, a lot. Am I still a gloomy, miserable fuck? Yes, but, life keeps happening. Every step forward, I get hit in the back of the head by a Dodge Ram. That's not because it's believe what he drives. Because who rear-ended me going like way too fast, traumatic brain injury, it's set back weeks. But, please just take from this, reach out, communicate. No friendship, is worth, being over politics, really. No family relationship, no anything. There's got to be something you could talk about that has nothing to do with that to build a building block. And if you dabble in politics like me and him did, think about the ACA subsidies or something, and we agreed. But it was just the one thing. We don't talk about anything else. What's the point? We know where it's going to lead. But we talk about all kinds of other things. And, I hope more people do it because we need that in the world. It's not just this dark, gloomy, everyone hates each other place. Unless you listen to Harry Sisson. He just spews hate and propaganda, but That's what he gets paid for by the DNC. Sorry, I had to go there, but he really does just spew shit. That's divisive, and we don't need that shit. We don't need any of that shit. We need everyone to come together, and even if it's over everything, because the sooner we get together and talk about things we like, the sooner maybe we could start those important conversations, even in small contexts, and figuring on big issues that matter, whether it's immigration, the Second Amendment, freedom of speech, education, healthcare, like military. Like there's so many things that we could talk to that we could just start slowly having if people start talking about other things with each other and building those relationships back. And once you start doing that, you learn the bounds again, and you can have those little things, which actually helps fix the fucking problems. Because Jesus Christ, as he said, he doesn't trust my opinion because I hate Democrats. I don't hate Democrats. In fact, I hate most everyone on both sides of the aisle in that building in D.C. Because most of them have been there for fucking ever and are blaming a man that's been there for less than 5 years as I record this. It's all his fault. Like, you guys have been setting the policies for tax. You guys have been setting the setting for everything. And the sooner we realize that those cocksuckers are the problem, not Orange Man, it's not Joe, it's not that, left, first, right. It's the cocksuckers on both sides that have been there making all this stuff and keeping all this stuff happening for decades while they've been there. That's the problem. They're the ones that said all these things, and they're going off, spewing about leaders on this side or leaders on that side. And a lot of them that are spewing have been the ones that said the things and have been there for decades. Sorry, what one guy isn't good enough to fix decades worth of those people doing these things, but then he gets blamed for it all, and that gets us nowhere. We need to get over that. And the sooner we start talking, about anything. Yeah, you could text me all you want and tell me the Raiders suck. I know. We can have opinions on John Cena's final match. I'm still up in the air on that. Yeah. That's really where I want to leave it for the year. I'm sorry I went long. Shit, this is longer than a bunch of episodes combined lately, but just talk about things. Reach out to those people. You never know who's going to need to hear it. This is a really shit time of the year for a lot of people. And, you never know who you could help. And that one reach out, could change their whole entire, thing in their head. Change their whole entire mindset. And I think we need more of that. And the second we do it, things will start getting better. I don't think it'll be a fast thing, but like just personally knowing how much, talking to him again, just that one person in my life, how much that's changed everything for me. It's been, insurmountable. Hopefully it's been, for him. And I'm sorry it got as shitty as it did. I don't know if we ever actually said it to one another when we started talking. I think we just, picked it up and tried to talk, I know I'm sorry for some of the shit I said. Not all of it. And I know he's probably sorry for some of the shit he said, not all of it. Because you never be sorry for all of it. Because there were some truths that you felt that you had to say, but, it got way too stupid. And I know it did that with a lot of people. And if I can get anything from this, hopefully, this gets people to spin around and start having conversations with the other side and rekindling relationships with people on the other side. Because when we do that, God damn it, are we unstoppable. Have a good Christmas, folks. See you in a couple weeks.